Welcome back to Figure Depot. Today we're taking a look at the Deluxe Horse and Rider set from the Lord of the Rings Two Towers film. This features Brego and Aragorn. Brego was the king's son's horse, I believe. Theoden of Rohan's son, who was killed. He wasn't killed in battle, but he died of his wounds later. And so this particular horse was his, and it actually ends up rescuing Aragorn after he takes a big fall off a cliff. So at any rate, very cool, beautiful horse, and these were really great sets. They are in the 1/12 scale, and they go perfectly with so many different lines of figures, anything from Marvel Legends up through Mythic Legions and Lone Ranger, just a whole myriad. And we'll get a look at some of those different figure lines with the horse towards the end of the review, so be sure and stick around for that. Just a simple window box style package here. It has a map of Middle Earth in the background, which is very nice to offset the figures. You get your red themed packaging here because it is the Two Towers film. On the side, we do get a little description here. Aragorn and Brego. Aragorn has sword slashing action, and the Brego has galloping action. And there's a little button on the back hip. You push it to make his legs gallop. We'll look at that feature. These were by Toy Biz. I don't remember if I said that yet or not. Excellent figures. And the horses, like I said, are just great across so many different lines of figures. I particularly will be using them mostly with my Western photography. But I'll do some Marvel Legends stuff, like with Cowboy Logan and some other things here and there. This gives you instructions on how to function the action features of the horse and the figure. So, not much else to see. Here's a little diorama setup. And let's get it open and see what's inside. Can I just say that I hate these things? I mean, they're not horrible, but still an aggravation. Sorry, just venting. Alright, here are Brego and Aragorn out of the package after like 15 minutes of fighting the package. I'm not bitter. And yeah, so these Toy Biz action figures, the humanoid figures, some of them are kind of hit or miss. They have really cool designs to them. The sculpt work is awesome, and we'll get a closer look at that, but the articulation is where they really suffered. Yeah. They just are very limited in the way that they are articulated. They typically had some sort of action function, and the sculpt of the figure and the articulation pretty much revolved around that action feature. So you're very limited in the kind of poses that you can get from those features. So we'll take a close look here at Aragorn first, and then we'll get a closer look at his steed. Paintwork is really nice on these. He's got his little leaf of Lothlorien and the elven cloak given by Lady Galadriel and the elves at the end of the first film, after Gandalf, they think, has passed away and fallen victim to the Balrog of Morgoth. But we later find him resurrected, of course, as Gandalf the White. Just look at the detail on these forearm guards. Very cool. So yeah, a lot of detail and layers of clothing and detail under the layers that isn't necessary. So props to Toy Biz for that. You know, on their Marvel Legends line, they did a lot of really intricate detail and paintwork and stuff. You know, that was very common, and I think it carried over into this Lord of the Rings line. I mean, look at all that gear he's got. Very cool. Very, very cool. Looks like a bow. Probably some arrows tucked away under there. He's got his little sleep, little pouch there. He can roll out, little sleep mat or whatever. We do see the button for the action feature. Just look at the detail here. I mean, just really, really nice detail and washes on things that are covered up by a cloak, you know. So definitely props for the amount of detail that they put into these things. No peg holes on the bottom of the feet. The legs do swivel. This particular figure, and like I said, they're all different, but on this particular figure, his legs just kind of rock back and forth and then swivel at the thigh. They do have a very slight knee articulation, but it's not a whole lot, and it's concealed behind this little rubber layer. So you're not going to have double jointed knees like we're used to seeing on Marvel Legends and that sort of thing. This is the action feature. He basically just swings the sword. Not a whole lot to it. Looking here at the detail on his scabbard for his sword, it's very, very nice. And he actually has a secondary dagger right here, which is kind of cool. Then we have the sword. So I actually have this sword in 1:1 scale. I really liked it. So very nice. Fits in there nice and snug. Nothing wrong with that. So as far as, there's no like ball hinges here like we would normally see on a Toy Biz Marvel Legends or a Hasbro Marvel Legends. Because of the action feature, it's just on a swivel. He does have a bicep swivel though, and he does have a little hinge there, and we do have swivels at the wrists. Head, probably on some kind of ball joint, but it's more like the Mattel ones that are essentially just a swivel in terms of function. They don't have a lot of movement. This just rotates 360. We do not get a swivel on this side. We do get our 90-degree bend, which actually bends better than this side, and probably another swivel here, although mine seems to be stuck. So at any rate, really nice figures, lots of great detail, but pretty limited in terms of articulation. Alright, let's take a look at Brego. Have you ever seen a more beautiful toy mass-produced for kids to play with? I mean, the detail on this is stunning, just like you would see of an actual sculpture, a resin, or clay sculpture painted to display in somebody's home. That's the quality of detail that's gone into the sculpt, especially on his head. I mean, it's just absolutely beautiful. I love the little white dot, kind of diamond-shaped dot on his muzzle there, and then you get another one up at the top of his head. He's got some really nice braided work on the I forget what that's called. Those are stirrups. That's a bridle. Thank you. I'm a little rusty on my equestrian terms at the moment. And then we get the straps for his saddle. But like, wow, just beautiful. The style of this saddle is, of course, after Rohan, the horse people. But you can see it could be Native American, it could be Viking, it could be, just cowboy, western, Wild West. The style is very neutral, and so you can translate it across several different cultures, which is very nice. Beautiful paintwork, the fade from the brown to the black. Then he's got his little white socks on there. We have a black tail. You can see the airbrushing there to highlight some of the muscular structure there. Just absolutely fantastic. The attention to detail on these is outstanding. The pack here, just really nice. Just so much went into this, so much love was put into this, and I definitely appreciate it. It's fantastic. You got the mane here to one side. We looked at the other side, which did not have the mane, and so here's the mane on this side. Bring the light up a little bit so you can see some of those details, but yeah, just absolutely fantastic. This is a rubber little kind of piece that goes over, and then this is hard plastic, and the legs are hard plastic. This is a soft rubber, the saddle is a soft rubber, but these pieces are a hard plastic here. So this has probably got a hole notched out in it right there, and then they punched that in to hold this down, I'm sure, and then this is glued under here to keep it in place. So the tail is actually on a swivel, and then you got some little hinges here for articulation back and forth, and then at the ankles, and then go ahead and show you the action feature while we're sitting here looking at this. So there's a button underneath the saddle, and when you push that, it just makes his legs kick. So you can pose the back around a little bit, and then those will kick back and forth. Otherwise they stay kind of in this position with one leg hiked up. But wow, this is just absolutely gorgeous. Well, one point of articulation that I forgot to mention, he does move his head. He has like little ratchet joints inside there that can go up and down once, and he can go to either side several times, so you can kind of get some of his personality in there as well. So neat feature in the articulation. All right, and so here's a nice little 360 view. Aragorn having mounted his steed, and they go very, very nicely together. A real nice proud stance there by the horse, looking very regal. And I just love horses. They're beautiful and powerful and just fascinating. I have had the opportunity to horseback ride several times. I grew up in Mexico, and we would ride horses up a mountain to a big waterfall. We'd go a couple times a year probably when I was younger, and then as a teenager we took a trip down to the beach. I used to live in South Texas, and South Padre Island was about an hour and a half drive from where we lived, and we'd go over there all the time. But one time we went with my youth group, and we rode horses on the beach at sunset, and it was absolutely beautiful and so exhilarating. I was at a full-out gallop on my horse, just blazing a trail down the beach, and it was just breathtaking. So awesome. I would love to be able to do that again. It was crazy to me just how, because I was a child when I had ridden last, and so getting back on horseback again for the first time in a long while, I had forgotten how exhilarating it was. And you could go a lot faster on the open beach than you could going up a mountain anyway, so I had not gotten a horse at a wide open, sprint before. And I mean, it's so wild, you're hardly moving because the horse is just pounding away at the sand underneath you, but you're just kind of floating in the stirrups, and it's just wild. You would expect it to be rough, but it's actually not. I'd love to go horseback riding again sometime. Gotta put that on my bucket list again. Alright, so just for a quick comparison, here is Aragorn and Brego next to Shadowfax and Gandalf the White. And yeah, they look awesome rolling together, so very cool. I love these horses, they're fantastic. I wish you could have bought the horses by themselves. And then you could have bought whatever figures you wanted to ride on it. But at any rate, still you can get a hold of them at a fairly affordable price. You can find them on eBay for around 30, 40, 50 bucks for the set, for the figure and the horse. So basically you're paying 20, 25 bucks for a horse and 20, 25 bucks for a figure. To get a hold of them now, I'm not sure if they're available on Amazon from private sellers at this point. And then, you can just try your luck finding one loose that someone's selling as part of a lot or by itself, and you can find them a little cheaper. Last year I actually picked up Gandalf and Shadowfax for, I think I paid like $35 for what was supposed to just be these two, and then when the package arrived, it was these two plus an Aowen plus a ring wraith plus some other figure. It was like there were like 4 figures, so somebody had stuck other figures inside the package with it when they. Oh, it was another Gandalf. I think there were 2 Gandalfs in there. So somebody just hooked me up randomly without even telling me they were going to do it, an eBay seller. So I ended up getting tons of figures and this with this set whenever I bought it, because the package actually looked like it was unopened, but when it arrived it had all this stuff in it, all the extra figures and some weapons and all kind of stuff. It was crazy. So here we have a Marvel Legends Black Knight and a Mythic Legions Templar Knight, and you can see they look really awesome with these horses. Very, very cool. The only problem is these being a hard molded piece. It's a little hard for them to sit on the horse, but you could customize this and make that actual cloth if you wanted to. It'd be easy enough to do. Here they are standing side by side, and you can see that they're very well in scale with Marvel Legends figures. His muzzle goes just over the top of your basic 6-inch scale figure's head. You can see here they do awesome for a Lone Ranger, and Tonto with the NECA Lone Ranger figures. They fit very, very well with that particular look. Make some awesome photographs. And there you can see just how they scale with a 7-inch figure. The 7-inch figures do make them seem just a hair small perhaps, but still reasonably within the proper height. And here we have our horse Brego with our Diamond Select 7-inch scale Westworld figures, and you can see he looks fantastic with those figures. And here he is next to a Marvel Legends Logan cowboy variant figure, Wolverine, and you can see he looks really cool with him. Just a really, really neat versatile horse. Like I said, so many different lines that you can get it in. Wolverine has got a much shorter stature than many other figures, but even so, he still sits just fine right up there and looks pretty cool mounted up on top of there. So very, very cool. Now, a figure that he will not fit in scale with is, of course, our Brave Star figure here. These were an 8-inch figure line, and it's just a little too small to look right with the figure. Now, you could set the horses off in the background in the distance and not close to the figure and make it work, but you're not going to be able to have him standing next to it. We'll get a look at him riding on it and just see kind of how that looks. Just a little too big. Alright, well, this has been a look at the Deluxe Horse and Rider set featuring Brego and Aragorn from the Two Towers Lord of the Rings film, the second in the trilogy. And just a magnificent piece. The horses and the figure's not too bad. Like I said, the paintwork and all those details are very nice. It's just a little bit limited in terms of articulation. But anyway, nonetheless, I plan on using this horse in a lot of my Western figure photography shots, as I previously mentioned. So just stunning addition to my collection, and very glad to have it. please be sure and check out my Instagram, Figure Depot, FIGUREDEPOT, over at Instagram. I have pictures up all the time from all sorts of different fandoms and anything from Marvel Legends, Lord of the Rings, Western stuff, DC, any DC and Marvel properties, lots of Daredevil on there, all kinds of good stuff. So be sure and check that out if you'd like to see some of my action figure photography. And I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.